Hi there, and welcome to another training video from K-Talk. This one's called Guidelines for Developing Neuro-Inclusive Groups for Churches. My name is Karen Burgoyne, and I'll be taking you through this training video today. So let's get on with the presentation. The topics of discussion in this video are an introduction of myself as an autistic individual, my story of being involved in groups at churches that I've attended over time, guidelines on developing inclusive groups in churches, and then I'll be providing you my contact details. A brief introduction of myself. So I was diagnosed at the age of 30 with what was known back then in the late 90s, October 1998 to be as a matter of fact, with Asperger's syndrome. There was two different diagnoses before it became under the one umbrella of the DSM-5 American Diagnostic Tool for Autism, which now psychologists and psychiatrists are now using. Asperger's syndrome was looked at as high functioning autism, and then mid to severe autism was done separately as a diagnosis. But Asperger's syndrome was a highly functional autistic spectrum disorder that people had. So now it's classified as levels 1, 2, and 3. So I'm level 1, and I wouldn't classify for any NDIS funding. But prior to that, nothing was known back in the 70s, 80s, when I was young as a child or teenager. I went round not knowing what I had, and I struggled to understand how I hurt other people. The diagnosis also helped me to understand why I behaved the way I did. The lack of expectations and acceptance on me wasn't fair, but I was always the problem that nobody wanted to have anything to do with or be around in the long run. Developing guidelines for neuro-inclusive groups. Communication. Use clear, jargon-free language and communicate one question at a time. Flexibility. Offer various options for participation. Provide flexible scheduling and allow for breaks. So if you've got the meeting scheduled for 2 hours, you might go for 3 or 3.5 because you might have neurodivergent people who might need additional breaks. Create your documents for the group in easy English so that neurodiverse people or people with diffabilities can read and understand them more easily. And this is an example of an easy English document. Ultimately, a willingness to listen to the community's needs is the most important step, as neurodivergent individuals know best what will support them. Ask directly for needs. The best way to know what support is needed is to ask neurodivergent individuals themselves. Embrace neurodiversity as a gift. Recognize that neurodivergent individuals have unique gifts and strengths that enrich the entire community. Create a group that includes all people with disabilities in your church or parish. Invite them to come to either have lunch on a Sunday afternoon after the service or activities on a Friday night with their parents or carers. In my church parish, they call it the Friendship Club, where everyone's welcome to join in the fun. Involve and listen to neurodiverse individuals. Gather input. Directly involve neurodivergent people in the process of creating the guidelines for your church or parish. They can best explain their specific needs and what would be most helpful. Decide what the group is all about. Have a brainstorming session where everyone has a say in what the group will achieve and how it will be run by members of the church itself as well. Create a form via your Gmail or Outlook account to collect data from people who may be non-neurodiverse and create the link for it of what the actual survey is going to be. Have a meeting with your staff to decide this as well. Then put that link in your weekly newsletter for people to fill out. Give them time to do that. Over a period of time is over, once a period of time is over, that you've given people for to collect the data via an Excel spreadsheet, that data will be collected from the actual form that you set up that you email people with. Then meet up with some of the other involved staff members to discuss that provided data from your congregation members of what they've thought about the idea so far. Then take that information to the parish council or vicar to get their opinion of the situation and ask them to provide their own feedback or suggestions on the next steps to take up the step of setting up the group at the church or parish that you belong to. Include everyone in the communications by email so that they're all kept up to date with the progress of group discussions as well as the group development. So here I've just developed a email and just giving you a bit of an idea of what to say in that particular email. You might have your own ideas. Make sure that you keep the communication lines open at all times, as there could be a fallout with a staff member if they've been left out of the loop of this. After the vicar or priest in charge has given you their advice and they've given you the clearance to do it, then start processing the plans and putting it all together. Write up an agenda of what you want to talk about there, as well as a time and date for this meeting to occur with the other staff members who are involved in the actual group setup. Announce it over a 3 or 4 week period, save to the whole of congregations, of what you want to achieve and what you want to do to start up the group for the benefit of neurodiverse in the people itself. Be thinking on the positive side and how neurodiverse people in the church or parish will learn new skills, gain extra confidence and self esteem, social and communication skills for themselves, and what else can be done to help them become independent and responsible adults in the wider community also. Plan your activities that you want to do with them each week, such as worship in song, storyboards from templates, etc. The list is totally endless. First of all, decide who's going to be leading the inclusive group you intend to set up in your church parish. Ask for those neurodiverse people to share the role if they're open to that opportunity. Have a meeting together, face to face, or if not, online via Zoom or Teams, whatever platform you like. Take notes of that meeting of what everybody says. If in person, take photos of the whiteboard of your notes, of their ideas, and collaborate them on an electronic whiteboard via your Office Outlook account or Google account. So these two apps are available for you to use either in a Google Meet or Microsoft Teams meeting, and I'm sure Zoom has the same thing also within their software. If having a meeting online with Google Meet it'll automatically capture the notes from the meeting so that you've got that information that you need and what people have spoken about in the meeting that day. You can also use other applications that would be able to set up sticky notes on your Outlook or Google account. If having a meeting online via Zoom or Teams, both come with an electronic whiteboard, so you can jot down notes and transcribe the meeting into a document so that you've got the information and the recording of the meeting in various ways. You can also record your meetings as long as people are okay with that at the start of the meeting. So please ensure that you actually tell them that you're going to record the meeting so that you're able to go over it at another time and process the information for conversations from it later down the track. If using Google Meet for your group sessions, you can either share your screen, write things down, or create polls, Q&As, go live streaming on a YouTube channel, and capture the conversations via transcripts for later on. You can also have a CC or closed captions within your meeting that would be available for those with diffabilities if they're attending. Once the groups are established within the church, monitor its progress and keep notes of the role of various volunteers who are involved in the process. If you change a group that isn't working well, firstly identify the specific problems by encouraging open communications and observing the group's dynamics. Here are the 5 traits of group dynamics: desire for continuous learning and improvement, open and honest communication, high levels of trust and respect, ability to provide recognition and celebrate each other, and demonstrate flexibility and adaptability in the face of changes. Then, involved in the group in creating a shared action plan to address issues like unclear expectations, poor communication, assigning roles that solve problems, and setting clear objects and timelines. Finally, monitor progress and adjust the strategy as needed, ensuring everyone feels supported throughout the change process. Always ensure that neurodiverse participants are well supported throughout the changes you make with them. Some don't like change, some people like to stay the same. Some may even have a meltdown or not even wish to attend the group anymore because they don't understand the machinery wheels that work together behind the scenes to keep the group moving and going for them in the long run. Similar to a clock mechanism with a clock wheel, the clog wheels all working together and keeping it ticking. Setting up a neurodiverse group in a church requires focusing on sensory-friendly environments, using flexible communication methods, and adapting worship styles and structures to be inclusive. This involves creating sensory-friendly spaces, using visual aids and other alternative communication methods, and offering flexible worship and group structures that accommodate different needs and sensory sensitivities. Create sensory-friendly spaces. Designate areas with reduced lighting and noise, and provide a quiet separate space for those who need a break from overwhelming stimuli. Adjust sensory elements. Be mindful of lighting, noise levels, and strong smells, and make adjustments where possible to create a more comfortable atmosphere for everyone. Use diverse communication methods. Supplement verbal communications with visual aids, videos, handouts, or non-verbal methods to help all members participate and understand. Offer different communication styles. Be open, be open to different ways of engaging and allow for both verbal and non-verbal participation. Communication and connection. 1. Focus on individual needs. Recognize that each neurodivergent person is unique and has specific strengths and challenges. 2. Work to understand and support their individual needs and requirements. And 3. Remember, no two people are the same with either ASD, autism spectrum disorder, or neurodiversity in their own rights. Structure and flexibility. Adapt your worship styles in your group. Explore and offer alternative worship styles or formats that are more accessible and engaging for neurodivergent individuals. Provide clear, concise instructions for different neurodiverse people as they react differently to different instructions for own activities. Promote and ensure that you've also got helpful but positive strategies in place for those require them at the time also within the group setting. Introduce structure. Provide clear, predictable structures and routines, clear, concise instructions, which can then help reduce anxiety for some neurodivergent individuals. Offer flexibility. Be prepared to offer flexibility in how people participate in activities and avoid forcing a single way of engaging that may not work for everyone. Educate group leaders and members. Providing training on neurodiversity to help everyone understand the nuances and unique strengths of neurodivergent individuals. Emphasize strengths. Focus on the unique strengths and talents that neurodivergent individuals bring to the community rather than just focusing on the challenges. And finally, promote inclusivity from a faith perspective. Frame neurodiversity as a natural and valuable part of God's diverse creation and model inclusive behaviours based on Scripture. Should you wish to contact me to provide additional information or training or come to your church or parish to speak to your staff, please don't hesitate to contact me on these details here. I would be very glad to assist you in any way possible and would love to meet with you to discuss your training requirements. That's the end of this training video. I trust that you've learned something new and how to create some guidelines for developing neuro-inclusive groups for your church parish. Thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Or if you do have any more questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.